Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Skagit Storytellers. Jeff Mack stopped by my studio in December of last year, which was only a few weeks ago. This episode is one I've been very eager to put out, especially because his album has been released for a couple of weeks. Hannah's done a lot of work with this record as well. And I asked her, what specifically did you do? I just wanted to get the words right. And so Jeff wrote all the lyrics. She didn't write any of the lyrics. What she did was she took his songs and she just arranged some parts to it. So she wrote some melodies and arranged for the accompanying instruments. And I think she played a lot of them too.
So she was Elton John and he was Bernie Taupin. Bernie Taupin basically wrote all the lyrics, and then Elton John just made the songs around those lyrics.
Oh, okay. Yeah, some version of that. And so Jeff's playing at our favorite live music venue, the Conway Muse, on Thursday. That's tomorrow, with Devin Champlain from Sons of Rainier and Hannah as well. Hannah's going to be playing songs from her new album that was just released as well, called Sunday Cowboy. Get your tickets now because they don't sell them on the day of the show. So since you're listening on Wednesday, you need to get them now because the show's on Thursday.
Bye.
I'm actually going to buy tickets to a show at the Muse in March. I'm not 100% sure we can attend yet because pretty much nothing has a show that night at Cats in Mount Vernon. Do you remember that show?
Yes.
Yeah. So at the Conway Muse, Benny and Natural Israel and his band, the Bell Founders, they're playing at the Muse together. The Muse tends to sell out a lot these days, and so it's just better to get a ticket, and then worst case I can always give it to someone.
As we've noticed in our ticket taking experiences there lately,
we've really enjoyed working the door. It's super fun. Last week I had Izzy on my podcast, and she shared her struggles with writing. She said she would find herself getting distracted, and she just couldn't sit down and just write anything. So I bring up this book constantly. It's called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. So on the pod, I told her that I would start a Skagit Storytellers writing group where we just got together every month for an hour and just write. She knows me. If I say I'm going to do something, I generally do it. So on Friday night, that's 2 nights from now, from 5 to 6, we're going to meet in the community room at the Central Skagit Library. I'll put a sign on the door so you know where it is. I don't know who's going to show up, but if you're a fan of this podcast and you want to write, you should come on out. I think they capped the room at 15. I don't know if that will matter, but I'll be in there writing. I'm not sure what I'm going to write, but I might be finishing off the details of Olive's latest book. Who knows? But yeah, just come on by because the world needs your art, and a lot of people have words that they want to get out, and this could be the outlet for you. All right, Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm sure you're struggling to look for something fun to do. Is that true, Spencer, of you? Are you not sure what you're going to do on Valentine's Day?
Well, I'm going to be performing on stage at the Muse, and my doppelganger will be in the crowd.
Oh yeah, what does Wes call you? Wes calls you Handsome Jack.
I'm Handsome Jack. Jack, as I like to refer to him as Simple Jack. But scratch that, reverse it. We'll be going to see Jack play at the Muse.
Are we going to go?
I thought we were.
We should. Let's do it.
You had brought it up.
All right, we're going to go see Jack play at the Muse on Friday the 14th. And if you've ever seen Jack play solo at the Muse, he generally will just invite random crowd members up to play with him. So
he'll keep it quick but sexy.
Let's see. Oh, and that will definitely sell out. So get your tickets. What else? Oh, and we'll be definitely playing crib during the show.
Yes.
Since Spencer beat me tonight at Lyman Tavern, we were doing trivia with Clay.
Started off hot and wheels fell off very fast.
I thought I was going to win. I think it's because we didn't play with our board.
It was strange.
That's why. The cards were so slippery.
Very slick.
Yeah.
Somebody greased them up before we played.
Okay, so we got the Hannah, Jeff, and Devin show at the Conway Muse on Thursday. Oh, Jeff's also playing at the Admiralty Lounge in Bellingham on Friday the 18th. Do you remember when we went there before? We saw Sam play. And we had dinner with Hannah and Tim.
Oh, yes, yeah. Nice place.
Really, really good food.
Really nice place, actually, yeah.
Yeah. You wore that 70s shirt.
I was going to say,
I love that shirt.
The Paisley shirt.
Yeah.
My Jim Morrison shirt.
One more note about local music. This Saturday, it's going to be a 2-show birthday extravaganza.
Woo!
Spencer, do you want to tell our listeners about the first show?
It is going to be a real hoot.
Hootenanny?
It's a real hootenanny. We've got Jim Fichter and his band Undecided playing at the Lyman Tavern at 6 p.m.
Correct.
They will be bringing the noise.
They promised to sing Happy Birthday to Me.
They will bring the proverbial ruckus.
And then the second show is going to be at Rockport Bar and Grill, where you will be able to witness the greatest singer-songwriter in these parts, Zach Michaud.
Storyteller as well.
We saw Zach recently at Devil Barrel, and this is why Zach is the best. We were just talking about, I don't even know, but the band The Killers came up in conversation like right before we started. And the first song you played was Mr. Brightside. I don't think he had planned to play it, but it just came up in conversation, and so he just played it, and it was really, really good. And then a few songs later, he broke out into $2 Pint, which is by the famous local musician, Jesse Eldridge. And then a few seconds later, Jesse sits down at our table. So he saw Jesse walk in and just started playing his song. I thought that was pretty amazing. And then Jesse requests a song that Zach and him had played like years ago. And like maybe at Birdstock, like a long time ago.
Something he said they'd only played like once or twice.
Yeah. And Jesse couldn't remember like what it was called, but he threw out a couple words. Zach just played it. Like he's got an amazing memory, and so anyway, for those reasons and more, come on out to watch Zach play.
And eat some German chocolate and coconut cake.
It won't be German chocolate or coconut. That's a joke. So Zach's awesome. He'll also just be making fun of me nonstop about how I'm Canadian. That I play crib during his shows. As well as anything else he can think of. He's very kind though. He does mention my podcast when everyone's gone. He waits till the crowd dwindles down and then he mentions it. So
he's a real opportunist.
He is, yeah. He hasn't made too many marrying a drummer jokes. I thought he might go hard with that, but he hasn't.
Nah, he's done picking on me. He's back to just focusing on
picking on me for marrying a drummer.
Well,
that's what I thought.
Okay. He's done involving me with any of your harm, your physical and mental abuse.
Okay. We'll do another concert, but first I thought we'd give a movie show update. Movies I have fallen asleep to recently. Remember last time we mentioned, although this time I'd like to proudly mention that I've stayed awake for several movies. We watched Point Break. Neither of us fell asleep for that.
Blues Brothers.
Probably because all the shirtless Patrick Swayze.
Oh, it was vintage P. Swayze.
It was the original Point Break. And then Spencer hasn't really seen too much of South Park. So we thought we'd get into that. We just got back from Great Wolf Lodge. So I had to show him the P episode.
Your P levels have reached 98%.
And then I showed him another one of my favorites called Overlogging. So I'm excited to show him more of those. Oh, and watched the Blues Brothers last night.
Yeah, Blues Brothers last night.
Which is why we're recording on Tuesday and not Monday, because we were just caught up in watching Blues Brothers.
We were on a mission from God to not fall asleep during that movie last night.
Well, you did fall asleep a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But also, I will say, though, because I've seen I Think You Should Leave, I can't stop thinking about Tim Robinson during that one song.
It's the hat and the glasses. He thinks he's a whole nother guy.
That's our second I Think You Should Leave reference in 2 weeks.
Oh, it's great.
Remember we talked about what's that guy called? The cigar thing?
Oh, the crooning cabbie.
The crooning cabbie.
Yeah.
Which we still don't have updates on. So maybe next week.
Yeah, that's a show. If anybody hasn't seen, go out there and check it out. It's on Netflix. Speaking of things that are quite out there that I've brought up.
You were not going to bring this up.
I told
leave the room.
I told Liz about a video game I played once upon a time that she had never heard of. I showed it a little clip to her, and let's say her reaction was memorable.
It just doesn't seem real. Like, it doesn't seem that we would have this in society for children.
So anybody out there that knows of Leisure Suit Larry, I'll just stop at that.
Please send in your Leisure Suit Larry stories.
Sure.
I don't know.
Sure.
Like, did anyone else actually play this?
Does anybody recall Leisure Suit Larry?
I don't know if I mentioned it on the show, but I ordered a cassette, a game that was like a cartridge from Texas Instruments system my dad bought us when we were kids.
Not the calculator.
And no, not the same company.
Same company, not the calculator.
But the game was called Hunt the Wumpus. And I was telling you about it, and you're like, you're crazy. I'm like, no, it was real. I swear to God. And then I ordered the game, and it's in our living room. I have no system to plug it in.
No way to play it.
But anyway. Okay, one more thing about music. We wanted to mention March 1st is the second annual Mardi Gras Live Music Festival at the Hub and the Model. Supremo is going to be there. Mild Mallard, which is Ada Miller's band with Miguel. District
Caleb.
Forgotten. I think Miguel joined District Forgotten too. I'm pretty sure he's in that band as well now.
Isn't that Jeremy's?
Yeah, Colin's band. But Miguel's in it now. Oh. And then Something Strange, which is from Darrington, and yes. Miguel's probably in that. And then Pretty Much Nothing, which
I don't know.
Let's say Miguel just quit. Let's just start a rumor.
I think we're just gonna play all the rhythm section for that show,
yeah.
And he won't have enough juice. He'll just back out of that one.
No, I'm excited for that show. It's gonna be fun.
And special guests.
And very special guests, which we can't talk about yet, but you need to come.
We can't because they are actually very special.
Yeah,
and
they
you
are.
Will not.
I'm not joking.
Miss.
Like, it's not like it's Olive's band. I'm trying to like pull one over on everyone. It's actually a band that you'll want to see.
No, it's a band that I would like to mention on
and
air.
If you hear about what that band played, oh my God, you're gonna have FOMO. Is that what it's called? Fear of missing out.
Sure.
Yeah, you'll have extreme FOMO. You have to come to Concrete on March 1st. The music starts at 5. Feel free to come a bit early because Spencer and I are going to be making fools of ourselves, emceeing the parade. Him and I are going to figure out how to MC a parade. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting.
Thanks for doing all this weird stuff with me.
Of course.
Okay, I think I mentioned all the shows.
Cats.
Oh, and you guys are playing at Cats. So you're playing 3 times in March.
Yes, and then we have April 25th.
Can we say that yet?
I
don't think it's confirmed.
Okay, we'll wait on that then.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah.
That one's going to be fun, though.
Well, yeah, we'll just stick with that for now. We've got...
Sorry.
What was that?
It's just my computer.
Oh.
I'm still using my backup computer.
Yep, 3 shows in March, and it'll be our first... show since, what was that, September? The end of September when we played at Rockport? Something like that.
Is that it?
Indubitably.
All right, enjoy your week. Be of use. And go do something hard.
Howdy, partner. Welcome to one of the most northern parts of the United States of America. Travel with me upriver as we talk to a bunch of ladies and fellers and they share their tales of wit and wisdom. That's right, it's time again for Skagit Storytellers with
my beautiful, intelligent wife, Liz Duffy.
While I was working today, I listened to the Natural Israel
Oh, you did?
show or episode.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And having your son at the beginning.
Oh, Riley, yeah.
Oh, and then that song at the end with his son.
Oh, my gosh.
Are you kidding me?
That was so cute. I love Israel's description. He said, please listen to this podcast where I butcher the English language and insult people. And I thought that might get people to listen.
Yeah.
So I'm always trying to think of more ways to get people to listen. But yeah, having Riley on the intro was really fun. I mean, his little voice is so squeaky, and you have kids.
I do. I have 2.
Yeah. So thinking about like videos when they were younger, you know, and videos are cool, but just like the audio is like, I don't know. I just think about this podcast being like almost like a time capsule.
Yeah.
Like it kind of started with my buddy Steve, just the stories he tells, he just captivates a whole room. And I thought his grandson is 4 years old, I think, maybe 5. And I thought Steve's not going to be around forever. And yeah, his grandson can go on IMDb and look up all the movies that he's done and been a part of, but he's not going to hear these stories. He's not going to hear the way his grandpa tells these stories. Right. And also hearing people react to how his grandpa tells them is even better.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I went to the concrete airport and I sat in a hangar and we did 2 episodes with Steve and our buddy Jeff and Steve's son Preston. They were really fun.
Is that right at the beginning?
They're the early days, so the audio is not great, but it's just incredible. So, and I just thought, okay, even if this podcast doesn't go anywhere, like Steve or Griff always has this recording of his grandpa, you know? And so that's when I started. My daughter, she's been on a couple of times, and God, there was a couple moments where she just makes me laugh so incredibly hard. And you know, your kids just do these funny things and you're like, I got to remember that. And then you don't. But yeah, these things that Olive does are always going to be on here. So
my phone, my daughter's name is Olive too.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And my phone is like, it's just like full of, I didn't really have a phone when my son was younger, or I didn't really have it on me or use it in the same way. But now Olive's 14 and my phone is just full of things from when she was like a baby and a toddler. And it's
what's
wonderful.
Her middle name?
Marie.
Oh, okay. Olive's is Jean. Okay. I thought that would be so weird. Well, and her name's not like legally Olive, it's Olivia.
Okay.
But I hate that name.
Yeah.
Sorry if that's your name.
No, it's a lot.
But I was just thinking like her nickname would be probably Liv, and that's too close to my name. And I just knew so many Olivias. And her dad said, well, I don't know any. And I'm like, you don't have any kids. So why, that argument shouldn't hold. And so I remember we were in Leavenworth arguing about this. And I finally just said, fine, I'm never going to call her Olivia ever. He's like, fine. And so I didn't for years. And then she went to the doctor with her grandma and she came home and she was like 4, I think. And she's like, Mom, my name's Olivia. And I was like, yeah, oh my God, you didn't know that. Wow. I'm sorry. But I've heard of friends, like I had a friend that he only knew this when he went to go get his passport. His mom gave him his birth certificate. I think he was 17. And he realized that the name he thought his whole life was his first name was actually his middle name. So yeah, it happens.
Well, and when I was doing my SATs as a high school student, that was like one of the first times I had run into like a document that felt like it was supposed to be official. And I grew up as Jeff, and I was like, well, I better use Jeffrey. And I didn't know how to spell it. So
E-R or R-E?
Yeah, it's Jeffrey. And I spelled it and I sounded it out. I was like, hurry. So I spelled it wrong.
Did you get a good mark? I don't know.
I have no idea.
We don't do SATs in Canada, so I'm Canadian, so I don't know. I like learned all about SATs like on TV, and then when I moved here, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of that.
But they're less important now than they used to be. Like my son is in college, and he didn't have to do it at all.
Oh, he didn't?
Like in the state of Washington, I think if you stay in state, you don't even have to take the SAT or the ACT.
They don't care. They're like, or we'll just take your money, and that's
exactly. They're just like, it's fine as long as your checkbook's
good. Oh, you don't have any money? That's fine. Just take a loan out. Yeah. It's okay. No, when Olive's dad went to was in high school, they said, if you don't have a degree from a state school, no one's going to look at you. And so he's like, oh, geez. So he went to WSU. Yeah. That's what they told him to do. Yep. And he got a history degree, and then, he works at the county. It doesn't matter what degree he has. And so we always, we told that a lot to Olive. Just, it doesn't matter where you go. Just get a 4-year degree and go teach overseas or something, or just do something with it. But it doesn't matter anymore. No. Probably do it online.
I mean, unless you're a teacher. My wife's a teacher too. And she went to school and is using her degree for exactly what she went to school. I have an art degree, and
Yeah, I wonder what percentage of people are actually using their degrees, and why 100% of them are teachers. That's pretty much it. So I've met you for 10 minutes, and I learned that you were in a metal band.
That's true.
Which, when Hannah said that, you were great and everything, and I feel like I know the kind of music Hannah likes.
Yeah.
And you're playing at the Honeymoon. I'm like, this has got to be some acoustic singer-songwriter guy.
I am.
But
I grew up playing different kind of music, and I didn't really get introduced into country music until I was, I don't know, maybe in my 20s. And up until that point, I was just a singer. I mean, I was a screamer, really, in various punk rock and hardcore bands. And I played drums a little bit, but I was never very good. And that was what I did, in my 20s.
Yeah.
And that was great. I mean, it was so much fun, and I had such good friends, and we traveled and we toured a bit, and it was great. But
I don't think the reverse could happen. Like, do you think someone could start out as like a country artist, and then suddenly they're like in their 40s playing metal?
That would be amazing. I wonder what it would sound like. Well, there is there is the popular country bands that flirt with rap and metal music too.
Oh, they do?
Sometimes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And I don't really enjoy it very much, but there's genre crossing. For sure.
I mean, I think mixing things up is great. Like, I love Jeff Tweedy from Wilco.
Right.
Like, he's in 4 other projects, and then Jack White, the couple different things that he's done, and Olive and I have talked about she's got her band, but why not look and meet some other kids and try some different genres?
Oh, totally.
And why not? You're not signing any record deals. This is not, you don't have to pay a mortgage. You're just having fun. So why not? So
just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I am being pursued right now to play in my friend's hardcore band. At the moment, he's like, when things settle down, just give me a call. Need a singer. And we need a guitar player. And I was like, I definitely cannot play guitar for a metal band. I can barely play country guitar.
Okay, so we know you're a mediocre guitar player. You're a screamer.
Is very true. Not anymore, but formerly.
All right, so I guess how'd you get here? You're a Bellingham musician. I heard Hannah and Tim adopted you, or is it abducted? Which one is it?
It's adopted.
Okay.
It was willing. Yeah. So I played music for a short period. I picked up the guitar in my early 30s.
Were you born in Bellingham?
No, I was born in St. Louis. Well, no.
See, we got to go back then.
Give me the place that I was born wrong. I was born in New Hampshire.
Okay.
And then I moved to St. Louis when I was 3. And I lived in St. Louis from 3 to 18. So that was where I grew up, was in St. Louis.
That's your home. That
is my hometown. But I've lived in Bellingham longer than any place else in my life at this point.
Oh, okay.
Because I moved here in 2002. So
now this is your home.
This is my home.
Probably, yeah.
But the Midwest is still I was back in St. Louis this fall, and
were you from a city or town?
I grew up in Fenton, which is a suburb of the greater St. Louis metropolitan area.
Oh my God, I thought St. Louis was a state for a second.
Oh, right.
I'm so sorry.
Missouri's a state. St. Louis. So St. Louis is right. You're Canadian.
We don't teach geography in second grade. That's my excuse.
So it's a big old Midwest city.
You said New Hampshire, and I was like, "Fuck, where's that?" Because that's on the East Coast, right?
Right.
Or is it on the coast?
Yeah, that's on the East Coast.
Where is it? Who is it between?
It's close to Massachusetts, Vermont.
Oh, okay.
That area, just upper New England, and then St. Louis is.
I know St. Louis is a city. I think I've drove through it. Okay,
that's what everybody says. I drove through it, and it's got the arch.
Okay, I've heard of that. Yeah. So I'm trying to think of some musicians. Are there any famous musicians from St. Louis?
Sheryl Crow.
Oh, okay.
Who is actually she taught music at the elementary school that I went to.
Oh, she did?
Well, she taught music at the adjacent at Kellison Elementary. I went to Bowles, but then she would come and give us lessons too before she was famous.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
And I think who else? Well, I think Tina Turner. You should look that up because I may have made that up.
Whatever's on here is true.
Okay. Tina Turner's from St. Louis.
Like St. Louis is a state.
Sunbolt, I think too.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, so there's Chuck Berry.
Well, I was just trying to think of like what kind of like musical influences did you have, or did you just like reject all those popular things and just?
I mean, St. Louis is known for blues and jazz, and Kansas City, so St. Louis is on the east side of the state. Kansas City's on the west side of the state. They're two big cities that are on the border of Missouri, east and west. And Kansas City is known for jazz. St. Louis is known for blues and jazz too, but more blues.
Yeah.
I don't know. Some musical historian is like, no.
So did your parents grow up like playing jazz for you?
No, I grew up listening to Neil Diamond all the time.
Yeah.
That was what I.
Is that what drove you to metal?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I've had enough of this sappy shit. No, I mean, I actually really like Neil Diamond, but I grew up, but not until later in my life was I like, oh, that's really good music, you know?
So like, when did you pick up an instrument?
I played piano since I was a little kid. And so I started piano when I was maybe, I don't know how old I was, 6 or 7. And I played that all the way through high school and into my 20s.
Just like on your own, like recitals type thing.
I was like, I took lessons proper till I was in like 6th grade. And then I had a chance that, you know, retrospectively, I wish I would have taken advantage of with a really amazing jazz pianist in the St. Louis area who offered to give me lessons. And it's kind of like it's kind of audition with her a little bit, like, are you good enough to be my student sort of thing. And I started taking piano with her. And then she was like, okay, now you need to not do anything else. If you're going to do this, if you're going to be a jazz pianist, you need to. And I was like, well, no, all I want to do is skateboard, you know. That's all. And I did. And, you know, that would have been a different path had I pursued that. But skateboarding was also like something
that's
that
pretty
saved
cool.
me as a
you
kid.
Skateboarded here, so
yeah, exactly. Right down I-5 Cook Road.
Okay, so piano first, and then
and then I started listening to punk rock from skateboarding, punk rock and hip hop from skateboarding.
Like, what kind of bands were you into? Are we roughly the same age? I'm 43.
I'm 45.
No, I'm 44. 45. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it,
so
got it.
really close.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, when you were a teenager, what was out?
Well, like I was listening to Canadian band Propagandhi.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, you should look
Hip-hop?
them up. No, they're punk rock and kind of hardcore. They're I think hated in Canada too. They're really political.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
Oh, are they French Canadian?
I don't know. Maybe. But I that was like the first punk rock band that I like fell in love with.
Okay.
As a teenager,
Okay.
And then they set me on a path.
You got kicked out of school, and
not quite.
Tell true.
I mean, I had my rough spots, but
all right. So you listened to lots of punk from skateboarding.
I did.
Hip hop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Then you went to college.
Then I went to college as an art student. I met my wife like freshman, so we met when we were like 19 years old.
How'd you guys meet?
We had friends. No, we had friends that like the skateboarding community from Boise. I was going to school in Moscow, Idaho, which is in northern Idaho, and all those kids, all a bunch of delinquents, was going to school in Moscow, became my friend. So all those kids from Boise, and she stayed in Boise a year before she came up to Moscow. So I was friends with a lot of her friends, and we lived in a house that put on shows. Her boyfriend was in a punk rock band that came and played at our house, but we didn't know each other. And then she moved up here and we became friends and went on a date, and I burnt a hole in her dress with my cigarette, and I had, unbeknownst to me, I had refried beans in my eyebrows while we were like eating. Yes, while we were eating on our first date. And she's like, "This is the guy I want to be with."
Did you like go to the bathroom and you saw it?
No, I I think
Or did you
she,
make
at
it all the
some
way
point
home?
she told me, she was
Okay.
like, you got something in your eyebrow. And I was
Oh,
like,
man.
it's beads. Like, you got beads in my eyebrow.
Whenever I was talking to a friend about Pearl Jam, they were touring recently.
Okay.
And I'll never forget the one Pearl Jam show I went to. It was at Rogers Arena in Vancouver. I want to say it feels like a few years ago, but it was before I had kids, so it was a while ago.
It gets blurry.
Anyway, so I go, and this is like, I don't even think I had a cell phone. I might have had a flip phone, maybe, but I go to the show, I'm by myself, and I'm like, that's totally fine. I feel fine going by myself. So I go and I get a hot dog. I go into the arena and I'm sitting with like a couple on this side and a couple on this side. And the one couple is like just super friendly. They want to take a picture with me. Cool. Like, and then during the concert, like I didn't go to the bathroom once because I love Pearl Jam and I didn't know if I'd see them again. And so every single song I'm just screaming and just arms up. And then after it was over, I'm like, I gotta pee. And everyone said bye to me. And I think someone took a picture again. I don't know. Went to the bathroom. I had the biggest smear of ketchup across my face. I could not believe it. So yeah, out there somewhere, I'm sure there's a picture of me floating around on someone's fridge. Just like,
amazing.
look at this idiot.
And it probably just looks like lipstick, too.
I know,
right?
yeah. But yours ended up in a marriage.
I
And
have no idea how, but
so you guys met in college, and
So we
then
met in college.
did you said you got an arts degree? What did you
did.
get your degree in? Like
in studio art.
okay, what
And
does that mean?
Well, so as you go through art school, you eventually choose like what kind of art interests you. Mine was like weird public installation art. So I painted and I drew too, and I still do. I still draw a little bit, but I was doing like these public installations, and I have a degree in that. So I mean, okay. So to give you like an idea, so I don't leave it so open ended. Like one of the things I did. That was when I was going to school, there were still phone booths, and they were just like barely existing. They were on their last leg. So I bought a 1-800 number, like so toll free, and then I made all these little booklets that had questions on them, and then I hung them up all over phone booths around the county in northern Idaho. And they're like, some of them were like funny questions like, when was the last time you ate a booger? And then some of them was like, why do you wake up in the morning? What makes you happy? And then I didn't answer my phone for like 6 months.
Oh wait, so the idea is people call
So
the number
people would
and
just
answer.
go in, and it was like, and it had the question, and then it had a 1-800 number. And at that time, everybody knew that 1-800 numbers were free.
They're free, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I didn't answer my phone for 6 months, and then people just called and left messages and told stories on my answering machine. And then I collected those, and then I put those like in the art gallery. I got a phone booth donated by the city. Put the phone
What?
booth in like the gallery with like a set of headphones, and then you could just like put the headphones on and then just listen to people. I mean, and it was like people would call up crying and tell stories about their lives or families, and then some people would yell into the phone, and some people were hilarious and
Oh my gosh.
just stuff like that, you know.
Did you filter them? Like, did you take some out?
I just
put them all out there.
I just put them all out there.
Wow.
It's like, why not? And this is what happened, right? Just all these people called my phone for 6 months. My roommates were like, dude, when is this going to be over? You know?
Can you still buy a 1-800 number?
I'm sure you can.
I'll look it up.
But why? I mean, but they don't matter anymore, right? Because with cell phones, you can call any number
Yeah,
for the
that's
same
true.
price, I guess, right?
Yeah.
But at that time, you couldn't. So that was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So while you were doing that, your parents are like going to your installations going, okay, but how are you going to pay your bills? Like,
Totally.
this is cool,
Yeah.
but
I mean, but I was on like a
now that you're a
path.
parent, so how?
I mean, like at that point, right? Like my parents were like, well, he'll be an art professor. Cause that was like, you know,
Yeah.
you just keep doing that type of stuff. And so I was like on that track. And then I kind of had like this realization where I was doing all this political art, and I was like, man, I'm like young 20s. I don't really know shit. And I'm making a lot of judgments about people with this political art. And like, I need to learn more about life before I start making. But I felt like I just didn't have the life credentials to make the kind of art I was making. So I stopped, and then I didn't go back.
Okay.
And then I moved here, and I did various jobs. I worked at Village Books for a few years, selling books, buying books for them, which I loved and made good friends there. And then I started building houses in like my early 20s, and I've been doing that ever since.
Oh, so that's what you do now?
That's what I do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
now I'm in the office more. I don't build as much.
Oh, okay. But it's like, is it your own company?
It's co-op. So there's 7 of us that own it together. It's called Bellingham Bay Builders. It's a workers cooperative. And yeah, we own it together and all have different jobs and different things that we're supposed to do to keep the company alive and running.
And then that's your day job.
That's my day job.
And your after the work job is taking care of your kids.
Yeah.
Well, I guess maybe not anymore since your son's in college.
Not as much. I mean...
so how old are your kids?
So my son Grayson's 19 and my daughter Olive is 14.
And where does Grayson go to college?
He's going to Central Washington University.
Okay, yeah.
But he's only there for a little bit. He's getting his EMT. And then he is actively pursuing firefighting positions.
Were you surprised when he chose that path?
Not really. No. No, he seemed to be interested in that from being a kid and from a young age.
Does he like the medical aspect? Does he like the crazy decision making on the spot?
He likes all of that.
Is he a risk taker?
He takes risks, but he's pretty calculated, and he is interested in the medical. So he's getting his EMT. Eventually, he might pursue getting his paramedic certification too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then how about Olive? What do you think she's going to?
I think she's really interested in art and interior design. At 14, she's like she has her interests and. The world's her oyster, right?
Yeah. Do your kids play music too?
No, they don't. They both played piano growing. I made them take lessons. My wife and I made them take lessons for a while. And they both took to it pretty well, but we gave them the choice at some point and they chose to not play anymore. And so maybe they'll go back to it, but
yeah, we're in that stage. I'm making her take violin.
I think that's great. I think it's great.
I mean, there's I don't know if you heard Ada Miller on my podcast, but she talked about how, I forget what she was playing. Sorry, Ada, but her parents said, no, you can't quit until you make first chair.
Oh, wow.
So she practiced for 2 weeks straight, got first chair and quit.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow. Because that was like an ultimatum where they also probably figured if she got first chair that...
Yeah, maybe she'll keep going.
Yeah.
No, she just quit.
Well done, I guess.
Yeah. And Olive went to, there was a string camp in Anacortes, and I just thought, it's a week. Let's try it. And the teacher, the second day, the teacher's like, oh my gosh, she doesn't do all the textbook stuff that kids do wrong. She holds it so well. She has really great form. And I was like, what? And she seemed to enjoy it. So, because I was like, she's going to hate it, but I'm going to make her do the whole week. And we're always about doing really hard things. But she really liked it. I'm like, well, this is awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then another teacher there, she started the Skagit Youth Symphony Ensemble. So they meet on Tuesdays. It's mostly cellists, but a few violin players. Okay. And then now they're in their second year. And then she went to AMP again and did the string camp last year. And then she's still a beginner in the Skagit Youth Symphony Ensemble. So I said, well, maybe we should do one private lesson a week because I think that might help her because I don't know what she's doing when she's practicing. Right. I'm like, go practice. And so that was our violin teacher that you just met upstairs.
Okay.
So yeah, so she comes over once a week. And then that teacher just started free lessons at the Central Skagit Library on Fridays.
How does that work?
She just asked because she's in the Skagit Symphony and she asked for donations and people gave her violins and kids signed up and she wasn't sure.
So she has a list and you sign up for
so there was only 12 spots and she got 24 kids.
Wow.
So yeah, they're doing it every Friday for an hour. It's free and they provide the violins. So she asked Olive to help her. I know.
No way. That's
so I just love how one little thing leads to the next thing, and so anyway, but forcing kids to do stuff I think is important, but then you get to a point where you're like, okay, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And my whole thing is if she really wants to stop, that's fine, but let's do something else then.
Yeah. And that's how, and we were the same way. It's okay, you don't want to do that, well then let's pick some stuff,
Yeah. Okay, so I think so. You mentioned piano, and then did you start playing guitar next?
I started playing guitar like late in life, in my 30s, my middle 30s, maybe even late 30s. Not that long ago.
Okay.
I just picked it up because I had lots of songs bouncing around in my head. I didn't feel like I could play them on the piano, and I didn't feel like the piano was like mobile enough to just like have an instrument to work things out on. And so I picked up the guitar, plunked my way through it. I got just good enough to be able to put the things in my head onto the guitar, and then that was I've never gotten any better.
So you're stalled, yeah.
You know, and so that was in, I don't know, maybe like 2014, I think, 2013, 14. And at that point, I did start playing around Bellingham a little bit. I played some open mics at the Honeymoon, and that was and at the Green Frog. Acoustic Tavern when it was still around. And at that point, Tad, do you know Tad?
I just met him not long ago. I just saw him play at the Muse. He's so good.
Isn't he so? Did you see him at the singer-songwriter?
I think that's what it was,
okay.
Yeah,
he's so good. So he was running the open mic, and he asked me to play a few shows with him, and then we kind of played a bunch of shows together during that time period. And then and that was wonderful, and I'm so thankful for that. Because I really enjoy his music. I really enjoy him as a person.
He seems really interesting. I think I should have him
He's fascinating.
on.
No, he's fascinating and hilarious. He would be a great guest.
Yeah.
And then I put down the guitar because I built our family house, and so I put the guitar down. I put songwriting away
to build
our house.
Yeah. Which
was a long process.
And then let me guess, COVID hit.
Yeah, well, we kind of started it during COVID,
oh, okay.
and then COVID, happened. Things got expensive. We put it on hold, and then we got a loan to finish it, and then I worked for like a year and a half, almost 2 years to build it. And my son and I built most of it.
Oh wow!
Some of the carpenters that work with us helped too during various stages, which was awesome. But it was like a full-time job. And I didn't have any space to even like think about music, so I just put it away. And then when the house was done, and when we moved in, I was like, okay, maybe I can pick up the guitar again. And so I did. And the first open mic I played, I met Hannah and Tim.
Oh wow!
Which was just like so lucky.
And I think that's important for people to sort of like see that that's what's going on right now. Okay, right now I'm really busy. I can't focus on music at all.
Yeah.
And then just be okay with that. Like, yep. I think before in my, when I was younger, I think I tried to force lots of stuff like, no, I always did this, so I'm going to keep going. Like I ran for years, and then I just stopped last year going through all the divorce and everything. And just recently, now that we finally moved, like we were in a staged house for several months.
Yeah.
Now that we finally moved, everything's settled. It's like, okay, all right, I'm ready.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes it feels like it felt like your brain, like you were so, like I was so hyper focused, my brain wouldn't even allow me to like consider it, you know, like there was no songs happening. It was just silent, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's the same for you, but it was like once I got into a place where I felt comfortable and settled, it was like things started to like appearing again. And like I gave myself permission, you know, to like do art again, you know? And maybe I don't know if that's the same with running, but.
Do you, like I always think about how people write songs, and when I was talking to a few people, like, you know, some of their first songs they wrote was, you know, because they were heartbroken.
Yeah, right.
So now that your son's in college, daughter's in high school, you know, you have your home, happily married, like what were these songs popping in your head? I
mean, still, right, like, well, a lot of these are ones that I was playing back in 2014 and 16. And they, at that point, I mean, a lot of it's about family. A lot of it's about religion or lack of religion, or just like the human condition. I mean, I don't feel like I have to be sad to write a sad song, because I think there's a lot to be sad about in the world. I mean, there's a lot to be happy about too, right? But in general, the things that touch me are the things that are hard, and that, that are moments in life where I've struggled, or moments in life where I was feeling contemplative, So my songs are all over the place. I mean, but they're about life, and they're about, and lots of them are stories too about people that I made up.
Yeah.
Or there's bits and pieces of
like
people
one grain
throughout
of truth.
my life,
Yeah.
and then I have a few that are about specific people.
Do you think that if Tim and Hannah didn't accost you, do you think that you would be putting out an album?
No
It's
way. No, not at all. No, I mean, like, that was always kind of something that I would have loved to have done, but I didn't know how to do it, and I definitely didn't have the commitment to like learn how to record things on my own. And so they really jump started that process. I feel very, very lucky and thankful to have met both of them. It was a pretty, it's pretty humbling and really special.
They are pretty fantastic.
I can get like emotional about
Let's
it.
start
if I
crying
let
about Tim and
myself,
Hannah.
honestly,
No. So they're recording with you for your album. Do you feel like, is the recording process easier than you thought it would be?
Well, Hannah's like, so I'm recording with Hannah.
Yeah.
Tim is playing a few instruments on my album, and he's and definitely bounce things off of him throughout the process. But Hannah's she's producing it, and she's playing like 10 instruments on it.
Is she?
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, oh my gosh, like the viola, the cello, the violin, the banjo, the saw. She's playing a lot.
Really?
Yeah, it's incredible. And so like, and like halfway through the process, I was like, hey, this is our album. This isn't my album. Like, these are the songs that I wrote, and it's, and but this is, so the album is Jeff Mack with Hannah Wyatt, because there was like, this is so much you.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's going to be released on November 22nd.
Well, so
that's tomorrow.
So I have a single coming out on the 23rd.
Okay.
So the first single's coming out on the 23rd. I have another single coming out in December, and then the full album will be released in January 11th, I think.
Is it through Washington's?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's just Hannah and I are putting it out there.
What's it going to be released on? Just digital, or? Yeah,
it's just digital. I don't, if I do this again in the future and it feels like it makes sense, maybe vinyl would be awesome, or cassette tapes and things like that. But for now, it just felt easy and simple to just put it out there in the world digitally,
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be released on Spotify and Bandcamp and Apple Music and all the different things.
All those big streaming services that don't pay the artists.
No. make no money, but
okay, so that your 2 singles come out, and then your album, and then so the first sort of like exposure that people could have is, well, unfortunately, is tomorrow.
Right, I know.
Honeymoon.
Oh man,
yeah.
It's a sad that those 2 shows are happening at the same time.
I know,
because I would love to
bummed.
see Clay. What's Clay's last name?
Christopherson.
So I would love to see Clay Christopherson's and Tim's show. I wrote that when they posted about it. I was like, oh man, I would love to see this. But I'm really excited to play with Pete and Anna, and I went and saw Pete. I've seen Pete a couple times and really like his music, and he plays harmonica on a few songs on my album too. Yeah.
When Cody had Pete playing at the Lyman Tavern one night, and he said, yeah, Pete's going to be on the harp. I actually thought he meant a harp. So I got there and I was like, where's the harp? Like, I'm so dumb. This whole St. Louis is a state thing. Pete's awesome. I don't know if you heard his episode.
I listened to it. Yeah, I listened to it and I loved it. It was awesome.
Pete's great. Yeah. Pete was one of the guests on my radio show. I had a radio show for a few months, and it was basically like this. We were just talking, but I had guests bring bring me like 10 songs that like changed your life.
Oh, that's so much fun.
I know, it was a blast.
Oh, that's so cool.
I actually really miss it. But
and then was it on like a local radio station?
yeah, I was in Concrete.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was bartending up there a couple of years ago, and then I worked at the liquor store in Concrete, and then I was in trivia up there too, and then my friends were DJing up there, and I just thought I want to. I subbed for one of them. He was on vacation, and so do you know Jack Mattingly? Mm-mm. Okay, he's in so Tim, Hannah's boyfriend. Yep. Tim's in Nurhachi. Okay. Jack Mattingly is the lead singer of that.
Got it.
Yeah. So Jack was doing a show, and Jeremy, his co-host, went on vacation, and I was like, oh, I'll fill in, and then he showed me what to do, and I was like, I need my own show right now. This is incredible. And so the next week I did it again because he was gone. And then, I started my own show after that. And it was called This Song Will Change Your Life. And I don't know if you've seen that movie Garden State. Mm-hmm. We're roughly the same age. Yeah. I knew you saw it. Oh, yeah, for sure. So do you remember that part in the doctor's office when he's like, what are you listening to? Yeah. And she says the Shins. And she's like, this song will change your life. And I love that moment. And so anyway, people come on, they bring 10 songs, and then we just talk about them. And they tell me like, okay, well, this song was like the reason why I picked up the guitar, or this song, my dad would play it all the time in the car with me. Yeah. And then I'll just play a song in response to that. And then people could request, and it was 2 hours, and it was so much fun.
Oh man.
Tim made me such a great flyer for it.
That sounds amazing.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. I had my daughter on a couple times. It was ridiculous. So, I tried vinyl one time, like the entire show was vinyl, and like one song kept skipping, and like I didn't know what to do. But now that like I listen to my friends' radio shows, like it's funny when they make mistakes. Like it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter. April, my wife, is really into music as well, and we both had radio shows in the at the University of Idaho.
Oh, what was your radio show about?
So I was thinking about this because I was thinking how
you're a 20-year-old art student.
Your radio show sounds so much better than my radio show.
What, fart noises?
It was just a mess. Well, I was like, I'm an artist, and so it was like a free for all. I tried everything, but one of the things was the University of Idaho has the Lionel Hampton School of Jazz Music, and it's an incredible school of music for jazz artists. And they have one of the biggest. I think they have the biggest vinyl jazz record collection west of the Mississippi.
Wow.
Is in the radio station.
Really?
And you just have access to it. And so I was just, I like jazz. And so I was just pulling records off. And then I was playing hardcore, and I was playing classical music, and I was like reading political books, and I would play classical music underneath my reading. And April would call up and she'd be like, this isn't working, babe.
You had no theme.
No, you need to stop. Like, switch it up. This isn't working tonight. Like,
she calls you on air. Yeah, you're like, we have a caller. And she's like, this is not working.
Stop. I'm at a party and it's dead because we're listening to your radio show.
You just ruined this party I'm at. What was her show about? she
was playing lots of indie music, and she did it with her friend Katrina, and they just switch off and they had it together, and it was great. And she played hip hop music but mostly indie music, and it was much more fluid and well put together than my show. For the last 15 years, I played a lot of music in our house, but mostly I don't play it in the middle of the family room, or I'll just go into the garage and shut the door and work on stuff, because I don't want to bother everybody with me like plunking my way through melodies and songs. But when the kids were young, we had a piano, and I played the piano all the time, and so they did grow up with me playing the piano. My son probably more than Olive remembers, but.
What you're doing, like you had these songs like inside of you, and Tim was saying like a lot of people are artistically constipated. There's this art inside of them and they just need to get it out.
I love that.
And if they don't, then like they're mean to their family, or they're a cow at work to their coworkers, or they're just not doing their job because they're just really pent up, you know? So it's kind of like how sometimes I'm like, I gotta go for a run or I'm gonna kill someone. Yeah. And then, musicians are like, they have to get their work out. So, and a lot of people, like Tim was saying, like they make songwriting out to be this like super complicated thing, and he's like, I want it to be like doodling.
Yeah.
You know, like, let's just play around with some sounds and see what happens. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I watched my dad is a poet.
Oh, is he?
And he was he born and raised in New Hampshire? He was born and raised in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And then he moved to St. Louis with my mom when I was young. But he had lived his life on the East Coast until then. And he had written poems, I think, throughout his life. You know, at like seminal moments in his life, he would write a poem and it's like celebrate that moment. And he would work really hard and wordsmith it really well. And then he would read it at a gathering or, you know, a special event or somebody's birthday or a marriage. And he's 86. And so he's been retired for a while. And since he's retired, all he does is he just writes.
Really?
All the time.
Wow.
You know, and so for the last 20 years, he's been writing so much poetry. And he came recently and brought me like a collected book of his poems. And it's like, you know, it's like 3 inches thick.
Wow.
On, you know, 8.5 by 11 paper. And so, you know, I'm just like slowly making my way through his poems. But like you're saying, like I have this record of these, of somebody who I care a lot about their art, and that book of poetry will be passed down from generation to generation. You know?
But there's only one copy of it.
There's only one. I mean, he made me one. I'm sure that he has one at home as well.
Yeah.
But it's
are they just printed?
Yeah, but he had. I mean, they have it. I think they, meaning my mom and my dad, I think my mom's helped him digitize it.
Yeah. I mean, make it into a book.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
That's what needs to happen.
Yeah, easily. Yeah. My daughter has written like 3 books. It's really easy. I heard that.
Well, I heard that on your last podcast.
Oh, natural. Yeah. Yeah.
The pickle or something pickle.
Yeah. Actually, the first, I think this was before, because I have 2 coloring books, and then Olive has 3 books and then a coloring book. But I think before my first coloring book, the first book I published was a book, and it wasn't technically published. It was made. So my stepmom, Catherine, is a really, really good poet, and she would just post her poems on Facebook, just, you know, to share with her friends. And I just collected them all, and I put them all into a PDF, and I think I did it through like Shutterfly or like something like that. And I just made a book and I gave it to her. Yeah. And I was like, these need to be in a book. And so it was before I discovered Kindle Direct Publishing. So, I mean, I could probably sit down and figure it out for her, but it's so easy. It really, really is.
That's really, yeah.
I love the fact that like you have like, does he have something written out? Like, I love that.
No, it's all typed.
Oh, it's all typed.
He works on, he'll rewrite the same poem 5 or 6 times and move words around and then shorten it and try to get it concise. So he sits on the computer and just works and works.
Is that like what he did for a career, or what did he do?
He sold building products.
Oh, wow.
Skylights. Okay. And so like solar panels, passive solar panels. And so that's what he did for most of my childhood. That's what he did.
And his artistic side was that poetry.
Yeah. And he would use it, but not as much when I was growing up. And then as he retired and had more time on his hands, it's what he's been doing for the last 20 years.
And he's 86?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Inspiring.
Yeah, you should definitely, look into publishing that book. That'd be really awesome. Yeah. I mean, if he's got time on his hands, watch a few YouTube videos on Kindle Direct Publishing. It's really easy.
I'm gonna help
if
him
I can
through
do
that
it.
Process.
I always say, if I can do it, anyone can. So you said that Tad was like one of the first artists you met in Bellingham.
Yep.
And then Hannah and Tim.
Yep.
And you met Pete at the honeymoon, or?
I met Pete
at an open mic, maybe?
Well, I went and saw him. Well, I saw Hannah and Tim and Pete, and then Clay Christopherson as well. At there was a show at the Muse, and it was like a Washington singer-songwriter.
Oh, yeah, we were there.
Were you there?
Yeah. We were at the back.
So that was the first time I had ever heard Pete, and then he came to my show that I had at the Admiralty Lounge a while ago.
Oh, I like that place.
Yeah.
We saw Sam there.
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
So he came
Good
to that,
food.
and we talked for a little bit, and I talked to him again. I think I saw him at a Sons of Rainier show, and we hung out and talked there, the three of us, Tim, and I, and so we've just, we're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And who are what other musicians? Because you said you hadn't really met a lot of musicians. Like, are they mainly Bellingham?
I mean, this is Hannah and Tim and Dad. Like that's truly. I mean, of course, I know other musicians that are maybe they're not playing out. I have lots of friends that play music, and and friends that are incredible musicians. They're not out playing shows and things like that.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So I know lots of talented musicians, but but people that are out playing, I think it's just those three.
Yeah.
And well, now 4 with 4
people. Yeah. I love it. Well, after the honeymoon show, you'll know more.
Yeah, it seems to just happen.
I think Miguel's playing on that show. I believe Miguel's playing with Pete.
Oh, I think you're right. I think I've heard that name, but I don't know who Miguel is.
Oh, Miguel's right behind you. That's his picture right there. That Polaroid.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Miggy. So Miguel's from Concrete, and he went to school up there with Spencer, my husband. And so they're in the punk hard rock band, Pretty Much Nothing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll have a show soon.
Did Spencer grow up in Concrete?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Cool.
Well, actually, I think he was born in Everett, but then he moved up shortly after, and pretty much born in Concrete. So.
I spent a lot of time in Concrete when my kids were young because we had 2 good friends that we lived with in Idaho, and then we lived with here in Bellingham for a while, and then they moved to Concrete on the Finney Farm ranch.
Yeah.
Or not ranch, but intentional community, I guess is what you call it. And so we would go and stay with them a lot. And so we spent a lot of time on the Skagit River just with our kids swimming, and our summers a lot on their farm, and it was wonderful.
Did you decide on what song you want to sing?
Yeah, I think I'll play my wife's favorite song.
Okay.
Which I think I sent to you. But
oh, you might have. Did she say why it was your
it's about our family.
Oh, okay.
It's about a house that we used to live in on the street that's adjacent to where we live now, and we lived in an old farmhouse, a creaky old farmhouse. And so this song's about kind of us with little kids. It's about our family. Like an old wooden ship, this house bends and it bows. The branches scratch every time that it blows, and they write down the stories the wind says it knows, and through the walls we listening like April's in back. Laying down with kids, I can hear the storm coming from up on the ridge, and the baseball game crackles on top of the fridge every time that the lightning strikes close. And it don't take much to call a place home, just my family, this guitar, a river to roam, and the rain settle me down. When the storm hits the creek, it'll crest and recede, Then the banks ask the water, how much space do you need? And it's the oldest damn question, but I've come to believe that it's one worth my time to find out. So let's forgive our debts, make our trespasses known as we lay down together under blankets we've sewn. And I've learned how to love without feeling alone, but it's a lesson I'm sure to forget. And it don't take much to call a thing right, but the truth lies in secrets we tell in the night and the rain. Wash 'em all clean. Watch the fir and the cedar collide as they wrap around each other under tempestuous skies. In the morning I'll make up a fire and we'll burn what the night left behind. Like an old wooden ship, this house bends and it bows. The branches they scratch every time that it blows, and they write down the stories the wind says it knows, and through the walls we listen ain't lie.
Do you have a bunch of shows down here? Are you actively looking to book, or?
You know, I struggle playing shows. Pretty nervous, but I'm not opposed to it at all. But it takes a lot for me to work up to it. So I'm playing this show tomorrow with Pete and Hannah, and then I'm playing at Hannah's record release party.
Yes,
at their house, at Hannah and Tim's house, which is like Victorian themed.
Yep,
I believe.
I ordered my outfit.
You did? Did you really?
Of course, yeah. Oh, they're serious about their theme.
I'm not very good at committing. Like, I always just have half-assed Halloween outfits that end up being hilarious because they're so bad. But I should commit to that.
Ask Pete to borrow his spacesuit. Just show up in the spacesuit and be like, "Oh, I misunderstood the theme. Sorry."
I mean, that sounds good. And then I have a show, I don't remember the date, in late January at the Conway Muse.
How can people find you and find out where you're playing?
So I have an Instagram.
Because after this, your career is going to skyrocket.
I'm counting on it. So I have an Instagram, Jeffrey Scott Mack Music, and that's where I post things. And I have like little videos that I'm learning how to like make music videos and stuff too.
Is Olive showing you how to make reels?
No, because she's not allowed to have Instagram.
Oh,
yet.
Okay.
But she has Snapchat, which is totally, I think, crazier probably, actually.
My daughter has a Gab phone, and so she can't go online.
Yeah.
But she can only text or call, and she can't like click on links people send her. But she knows how to post a reel. Like, she's like, here, because she has an Instagram account for our cat.
Yeah.
Because we're promoting her new book. And so I'll be like, oh, that's a funny picture. Like, we should do this and this. Here, you just do it. And she just clicks away and she makes a reel.
Like, boom. Done.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I have been fumbling through. Like, the first, like, when I started, when I created the page after I had met Hannah and Tim, I created this page. I was like, okay, I should have an Instagram page for my music. And then I was like taking a story from Pete or Hannah and trying to like, you know, put their names on it. I didn't know how to do that or like link them to, like, I was like, it took me like a long time to figure out how to link somebody to. I'm just not good at it, but I'm embracing it and like having fun with it too. Cause it's art, right? Like you can put together like cool little movies and stuff. So it's fun.
Yeah. Figure it out.
Totally fun.
Yeah. Or have April's kids show you how to do it. The kindergartners.
Yeah. Oh, right. Exactly. They're all better at it than I am. Yeah.
Cool. Well, hey, thanks for coming over.
Thank you so much.
This was fun.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a good time.